Hello everyone and welcome back to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and we're going to continue on with our Saga playthrough of Lord of the Rings. We are now on Quest 4, The Ring Goes South. Now before I jump into actually setting up for that specific quest, I have to thank Chad. Chad, thank you very much for letting me know that I cheated in the last playthrough. I should have received another burden card. So we have these 4 to choose from. I did one of our treacheries. You have to choose an option that you can fully complete. And then if you can't complete either one, then you can choose either one. But I could have fully completed one of the treachery cards by drawing another encounter card and shuffling in another burden. Yeah, I didn't do that. So we are going to get a second burden card for the rest of the campaign. Thanks, Chad. I thought I was only going to have one. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to shuffle these up. And then we're going to draw one at random. Hopefully it's going to be not terrible. Wonderful. That's really wonderful. That will go on to Frodo potentially if we draw it. It has a when revealed, you attach it to the ring bearer, and it's a condition where you'll have to exhaust the ring, which is usually not a good thing. So that will now be shuffled into our encounter deck for this specific quest and going forward. So let's all take a moment and thank Chad for this. Thank you, Chad. Thank you for making this saga harder. At the end of a tiring journey, Frodo and the ring were nearly captured by the Nazgul, who had pursued him from the Shire all the way to the borders of Rivendell. But at the ford of Bruinen, the Lord of Rivendell caused the river Loudwater to flood, and the servants of Sauron were swept away. Afterwards, the wound Frodo received at Weathertop was treated, and he and his companions were given a long respite in the house of Elrond. Yet the threat of Mordor still remained, and the Dark Lord's power continued to grow, and the question of what to do with the One Ring had to be addressed. So the Council of Elrond was summoned, and the fate of Middle-earth was long debated. In the end, it was decided that the only hope for the enemies of Sauron was to send the One Ring back to Mordor, to the Mountains of Fire where it was forged. Only there, at the cracks of doom, could the ring be unmade and the Dark Lord's power destroyed. Frodo Baggins of the Shire was chosen to carry out this task, and Elrond appointed his companions to accompany him on his quest. So it was that on a cold morning near the end of December, the Fellowship of the Ring departed Rivendell and began their perilous journey south along the western edge of the Misty Mountains. I think that this task is appointed for you, Frodo, and that if you do not find a way, no one will. In the house of Elrond, the evil wound that Frodo received on Weathertop is healed, and he is reunited with his uncle Bilbo. But the One Ring cannot remain hidden in Rivendell for long, so Lord Elrond summons a council to decide what should be done to protect the free peoples of Middle-earth. For setup we have, each player may change a hero he controls without incurring a +1 threat penalty. As of now, I'm not changing any of my heroes. The players have earned the boon cards Sting, Mithril Shirt, Glamdring, and Andril. Each player chooses one and adds it to his hand. If any of the boon cards remain unchosen, shuffle them into the first player's deck. So we'll choose 2, and then two will be placed into the first player's deck, which I do believe will be the Hobbit deck this time. I asked you guys at the end of the last video which of the boons we should put into our hands, and there's some different debates for the Rohan deck. For the Hobbit deck, it was obvious. Sting, not a question. So that's going to go into the Hobbit deck's hand. For the Rohan deck, we had Glamdring, I think is what the overall consensus was. The only problem with it is it's restricted. So it can be placed on Grimbeorn, and it's going to make him a beast right away. But the thing was he was so good because he had 2 of those restricted mounts on him. So what I did is I put some unexpected courages into the Hobbit deck so that we'll use those instead of the 2 different types of mounts for Grimbeorn. And then I also totally revamped the Grimbeorn deck. You're going to see it's completely different. The Hobbit deck is pretty much the same, but the Grimbeorn deck now has Beorn himself as an ally in it. I'm really excited. So hopefully it'll work. We'll find out, I guess. Because we chose the Hobbit deck as the first player, we'll also have Ho-Tom Bombadil in the Hobbit deck's hand. And then these 2 boons we did not choose will go shuffled into the Hobbit deck. Our 3 heroes for the Hobbit deck are Merry, Sam, and Pippin. They will add up to a total of 20 starting threat. And we have Frodo here. Since they're first player, they'll gain control of Frodo. Let's go ahead and draw up to our 5 cards. Remember, it's 5, not 6, because we have Gandalf's delay. So our first card will be our mithril shirt. Nice. A fast hitch. Not bad. A master of the forge. I like that. A warden of healing. Lots of green. And an end draft. Yeah, it's too much green. I think I'm going to reshuffle this one. Not quite good enough. What do you say we try that again? 1, definitely better. 2, oh, nice. 3, 4, and 5. I'm okay with that. Something I forgot to show you. Sam Gamgee is our skilled healer. So he does have +2 hit points and has Hobbit and Healer in his traits. Over here on the Rohan side, we have Gildor and Glorian. We have Grimbjorn and Elfhelm. Grimbjorn has +1 defense because of a boon we chose last time. This starts at 30 threat instead of 20 like the other deck. Let's go ahead and draw our cards. Our Rohan deck starts with Galamdring in hand, and we'll draw 5 more. We have Gandalf. We have Bjorning Skin Changer. That's a new one you guys haven't seen. We have Faramir. We have Elrond. Nice. And we have a sneak attack. Oh, with Gandalf? That's hard to say no. But I don't have... Well, I have a mount, but I don't really want to put that mount... Oh, yes, I do. I can put that mount on to Grimbjorn, I think, if I remember right. It participates in an attack. Yeah, we definitely want to. And that's a mount. Sweet. I think I'm going to keep this hand. Our final setup instructions state here, we need to set Lust for the Ring, Redhorn Pass, Doors of Durin, and Watcher in the Water aside out of play. Shuffle the encounter deck. On the backside of the quest card, it says, Forced. At the end of the planning phase, each player places the top of his deck face up in front of him, the top card, face up in front of him in player order until there are a total of 4 face-up cards between the players. The first player chooses 1 face-up card to be played for 0 cost, 1 to add to its owner's hand, 1 to be discarded, and 1 to be shuffled into its owner's deck. Then, either shuffle Lust for the Ring into the encounter deck, or each player raises their threat by 5. Ugh. Advance to stage 2. Let's go ahead and start the game. Both decks have generated their resources. Let's go ahead and draw our next cards. We have Song of Kings, Cool and Valiant Sacrifice. Our Hobbit deck is going to go ahead and use all 4 of their resources. This includes Frodo's. We're going to use Frodo's for the Song of Kings. We're going to use Merry's for this blue card, and then we'll use Sam and Pippin's for Sting. So the Song of Kings is going to go on to Grimbjorn. That way he is going to have leadership as a resource as well. Light of Valinor will go on to Gildor and Glorian, so now he can quest for free. We now have the Hobbit Pony. We're going to place that on Merry. Merry will then gain +1 willpower because he has a mount, thanks to Elfhelm. And then we have Sting here, which will give +1 willpower, +1 attack, and +1 defense to Sam. We'll place Sting on Sam. For the Rohan deck, we're going to go ahead and use both Elfhelm and Gildor and Glorian's resources to place out Galamdring. That will give Grimbjorn +2 attack. He's already now a 5 attacker because of that. Then we're going to place Elrond on Grimbjorn as well. This is considered a mount, so now Grimbjorn will have +1 attack and +1 defense because he's also considered a leadership hero now. Isn't this awesome? So he will now have also have this ability that after he destroys a character, you can exhaust this Elrond to place 1 progress token on any location. And what's great is this is not limited or restricted, so we don't have to worry about. We can still place Armored Destrier on Grimbjorn. We've now completed the planning phase. Let's go ahead and activate this forced action. So we have to draw 1 card from this deck, Fireside Song. Oh my gosh, 1 from this deck, Dunedain Warning, not bad. 1 from this deck, Treebeard. We could put Treebeard out for free, you guys. Oh man, so many options. Or we have Steward of Gondor. Well, how am I supposed to know what to play here? Oh. So I get to choose one of these cards to play for free. And I don't know why you wouldn't do the most expensive one if it's really good. And Treebeard's amazing. So yeah, he'll come out exhausted, but now we have a 4-cost hero or ally that we didn't pay anything for. I think, although I love Dunedain Warning, I'm going to discard Dunedain Warning because of all of these, I think that's the best one to discard. I'm going to place Steward of Gondor into the Rohan's hand, and then we'll place Fireside Song back into the Hobbit's deck. That kind of hurts. I like the willpower, but you got to make tough decisions. The council decides the One Ring must be cast into Mount Doom. Frodo is appointed 8 companions to help him complete this quest, and the Company of the Ring sets out to Rivendell into Holland on their way to Mordor. When revealed, make the Red Horn Pass the active location. The first player reveals cards from the encounter deck until there's at least X threat in the staging area. X is twice the number of players in the game. So that's 4 threat in total that we have to have come out. And it says reveals, so if we draw treachery cards, from my understanding, they have to be resolved. And here I am already forgetting because I did this at the beginning. And I just forgot to tell you guys. I am shuffling in Lure for the Ring. I'm not going to increase threat by 5. That puts our Rohan deck at 35. That's a little too high for me. So we'll just deal with Lure for the Ring. Here we have the Red Horn Pass. This will be the death of the hobbits. Anybody remember that part? Immune to player card effects. When Red Horn Pass is explored, each player assigns X damage among characters he controls. X is the number of damage here. You'll understand how that works as we play. It is a victory card, which is great. And it's the active location, so this 4 threat doesn't matter, at least for now. Let's go ahead and start revealing encounter cards. So our first one we have is the Hound of Sauron. It has the Surge keyword, and it's only 1 threat. So yeah, that's going to be out. Then our second one is the Sriban of Dunland. It's a peril, so this is for the first player. When revealed, either exhaust a hero you control or engage Sriban the Dunland. Forced, after Sriban from Dunland engages the player, reveal the top card of the encounter deck. Oh, okay, so either exhaust a hero you control or engage it. It only attacks for 1. But you know what? I don't really want to reveal another encounter card, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to exhaust Frodo. So Frodo has just been exhausted. He's trying to hide from these stupid birds. Do you remember those? Ugh. We do, though, now have 4 threat. 3 and 1. So these 2 will be out in the staging area. Holland is no longer wholesome for us. It is being watched. During the travel phase, the players must travel to a location if able. After an enemy engages a player, place 1 damage on the active location if able. Yeah, see, this is how we get damage onto location cards, and that's how then when we resolve those locations, they do their damage effect, which is right now we'd have to assign damage among our characters equal to the amount of damage on the Red Horn Pass. We do only need 8 progress, so we might be okay. Let's see what we can do. Moving into the quest phase, I think we'll go ahead and send Sam for 4 and Pippin for 6. We can send Merry later thanks to his Hobbit pony. So we'll start with 6 willpower. We'll then add Gildor for 9. We don't have to exhaust him, and now it's the question of, do we want to do Elfhelm? I think we got to take the chance. Let's go ahead and send him for 11. 11 to 4. Feeling pretty good right now. We have the Hills of Holland. While this is the active location, we don't have to worry about that. It's not. Just adds 2 threat. And we have Eragion. When this is explored, it's another explored one. So that just adds 5 threat to the staging area. We quested for a total of 11, and there's 9 here. I think I am going to exhaust Merry and his Hobbit pony to add another 3. So that puts us at 14. 14 to 9 means we get to place 5 progress on the Red Horn Pass. I was hoping to progress through it, and we didn't. But that's still good. You know, if we hadn't had to exhaust Frodo and he could have gone on the quest, we would have succeeded. It is what it is. We currently have 2 enemies in the staging area. If we read this one, it has 50 as its engagement cost, but it gets -5 for each enemy in the staging area. I'm assuming it includes itself. So that means its engagement cost is 40. No one has to engage it, so I think I'm actually going to leave it there. It's only adding 1 threat. This guy, though, he's at 28. That means we have to engage it because at least our Rohan deck is at 30. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Hobbit deck go ahead and optionally engage it. When we do that, though, we have to reveal the top card of the encounter deck, and we have to place 1 damage token onto the Red Horn Pass. But thanks to Pippin's ability, we get to draw a card. So we'll draw 1 card. It's another Light of Valinor. That's useless. And Sam Gamgee will ready. I hate revealing extra encounter cards, but you got to do what you got to do. We have a Howling Varg. When the Howling Varg attacks, place 1 damage on the active location. It's 38, so we're okay. Moving into the combat phase, we'll go ahead and grab a shadow card, place it on this Dunland bird. We will then exhaust Grimbjorn so he can defend. He is Sentinel, that's why he can do that. We will then flip this, and we do have an effect. Attack enemy gets +1 if this destroys a character, place 1 damage on the active location. Well, his attack is 2. Grimbjorn's defense is 5. So Grimbjorn laughs at that Dunlin bird. Now, I hadn't thought this through, you guys. I forgot that Grimbjorn does not have a resource. We used it. So he cannot do his response. So that means the Hobbit deck still will have the Dunlin bird on him, but we do have Sam. So actually, maybe this will work. This is why you can never count out the Hobbits. Because he's got Sting, he starts with 2 attack. And because of his ability, he gets +1 attack. That's a total of 3. So he has 3 attack. He can just take out these birds exactly what he needs. That is super sweet. I'm telling you, there's more than what meets the eye to these hobbits. So let's go ahead and end the round. We'll increase threat. The Rohan deck will move up to 31. The Hobbit deck will move up to 21. We'll refresh all of our cards and move Frodo. We have generated resources. Let's go ahead and draw our cards. And we have the Mithril Shirt and the Errand Rider. To start our planning phase, the Rohan deck is just going to play Steward of Gondor. Using Gildor's and Elfhelm's resources, he will then immediately exhaust this and give Grimbjorn 3 tactics or leadership resources. The only card the Hobbit deck's going to play is the Ent Draft. We're going to go ahead and throw that on Grimbjorn, so he has 7 health, 5 shield, and 6 attack. During our questing phase, I think we're going to go ahead and play Sneak Attack with our Rohan deck. We get to put 1 ally card into play from our hand. So we're going to go ahead and place Gandalf into play from our hand. Only cost us 1. He has a response. After Gandalf enters play, choose 1. Draw 3 cards. That's absolutely what we're going to do. So I'm going to grab our deck here, and we're going to draw the top 3 cards. And we have Secret Vigil, Bjorn, and another Secret Vigil. Sweet. So I don't particularly like dawdling in this quest, so we're going to go ahead and quest with Gandalf for 4, Frodo for 6, and Gildor for 9. We'll leave Elfhelm just in case. We'll send Pippin for 10, 11, and Frodo for 4, or not Frodo, Sam for 14. We can always send Merry if we need. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the staging area, 8 to 14. We'll go ahead and draw 2 from the encounter deck. And our first one is the Redhorn Foothills. While the Redhorn Foothills is the active location, so it's not the active location. 4 threat, though. Jeez. And we have a Hound of Sauron, and that gains Surge. So we'll flip the next one. Wonderful. Oh, great. We have Surge, first of all, when revealed, attached to the Ring Bearer. We know what this does. It will now say at the beginning of each quest phase, either exhaust the 1 ring or reveal an additional encounter card. I think that's as good a time as any to play a Test of Will. We have a Test of Will with our Hobbit deck that'll cancel the when revealed, but it doesn't cancel the fact that this card was drawn. So I'll put that in the discard pile. So we still have to do the Surge, and we have a Peril. Oh man, who is this? Okay, so this was the Rohan deck. This was the Hobbit deck. This is still the Hobbit deck. Either the Varg enemy in the staging area with the highest engagement cost attacks you, or each Varg enemy gets minus 20 engagement cost until the end of the phase. If no Varg enemy is in the staging area, this gains Surge. Well, there's definitely an enemy in the staging area. Here we have our 3 enemies in the staging area. Now, these guys have variable engagement costs, 45, 40, 35, right? So actually, the Howling Varg is going to do the attack, because they have only 35 for their engagement cost. This has 38. That means this Howling Varg is going to attack the Hobbit deck. Now, technically, the card is Peril. So, Peril means that we could not help make a decision on the Rohan side, but we can still do Sentinel abilities, I believe. If you guys disagree, let me know, but I'm pretty sure that that's right. So that means we can still exhaust Grimbjorn to defend for this attack. Now, it says here, when this Howling Varg attacks, place 1 damage on the active location. So another damage is going to go on to the active location. We are getting attacked for 3. We have 5 defense. Let's see. Oh, sweet. No shadow effect. We don't have to worry about that. We then can do our response. So we will spend 1 resource from Grimbjorn. His attack is 6 minus 2 shield. He just took out the Howling Varg, which is totally awesome. And we have A-Rod. Because we have A-Rod, we can place 1 progress on any location that is out on the board. I wish I could do the active one, but the active one is immune to player card effects, so I got to pick a different one. I really don't like this Eregion because it has the ability that we must discard X allies from play, and X is the amount of damage. So I'm going to place 1 progress on here, hoping that maybe we can complete it while it's out in the staging area. Who knows? We quested for 14 compared to the 11 that is in the staging area. That means we get to place 3 progress. I still think I'm going to exhaust Mary. I'm not terribly worried about our threat right now, so that will increase that by 3. So we actually quested for 17, so that means we get to place 6 total progress. We only needed 1 more to complete the Red Horn Pass, and we'll place 5 here. But now we have to read this effect. So it says, when Red Horde Pass is explored, each player assigns X damage among characters he controls. X is the number of damage here. So we each have to place 2 damage on characters we control. 2 damage is really not bad. We'll place 2 damage on Gandalf because guess what? At the end of this phase, he's coming back to our hand anyways. So that's for the Rohan deck, and this is why Treebeard was so key for the Hobbit deck. 2 damage would have killed Merry or Pippin. Now, I do know that Sam has enough health. He could have taken 2 points of damage, but still, that's why Treebeard's amazing. He took the 2 damage, so we don't have to worry about that. Now that we've finished the quest phase, we'll go ahead and take Gandalf and put him back into our hand. Because an ally just left play, we're going to go ahead and play a Valiant Sacrifice, using the final resource from Grim Bjorn. After an ally card leaves play, that card's controller draws 2 cards. That means the Rohan deck just got to draw 2 more cards. Oh, we have Bjorn and we have Armored Destrier. Wow, that was a great pull. For our travel phase this round, I think we've got to get to the Redhorn Foothills. We got to get 4th threat out of the staging area. That was basically a Gandalf level of threat. While that is the active location, after an enemy is added to the staging area, it gets -5 engagement cost till the end of the round. So it's going to be more likely that enemies, when they initially come out, they're going to engage us. But don't forget, I always forget about Pippin's ability. We right now would have +3 to the engagement cost of all enemies in the staging area, or +4 because when the Hobbit deck is first player because of Frodo. So I've got to watch that. It also says here, when it is explored, each player must discard X cards from his hand at random. X is the number of damage here. So I'm looking to get no damage on this if possible. In the staging area, we currently have 2 Hounds of Sauron. I could engage one, but right now Grim Bjorn is exhausted. I don't have really anyone I can defend with well, and no one's going to be able to take out 3 + 1, so I think I might leave them until next round. Let's go ahead then and end the round. We'll move up our threat to 32 for our Rohan deck and 22 for our Hobbit deck. Let's refresh and draw our cards. We've generated resources, and let's go ahead and draw our next 2 cards, or 1 for each. We have our Hobbit Pony for our Hobbit deck and the Riddermark Knight.